So I'll just start while you guys are finishing that. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super excited to welcome Amanda and Bryan on today's InLighten Hour, where we are exploring different topics, different practical, tangible topics that you can just right away bring into your own life. And today is one of the topics that I think people have a desire to explore the most, and that's intimate partner relationships specifically. There's no wrong way, there's no right way to do it. We are just exploring a way that is more intentional, more conscious, more awakened, more of service to each being in the relationship and to the world, right? Because that's what we're here for, is to serve each other. And why not bring that into our relationships as well? It is like the most intense catalyst, I think we can all agree, right? For our own growth. Like, oh my goodness. So welcome, you guys. I would love to turn it over to you and just have you share a little bit about yourselves with us, each of you, and also just how long you've been in relationship with each other, just, how, whatever feels relevant, whatever feels important for you to share, and then we'll just start.
Sure.
So welcome.
Right. Oh, you want me? Would you want to go ahead? I thought you wanted
Bryan's
to
the
jump in
divine
first.
masculine. He usually takes the lead.
I'd be more than happy to lead you, but I would also love to witness you as well.
So that's one thing right there about our relationship, is that he witnesses me. Like, I am seen. I feel seen. I know I'm seen, and that makes me feel good. I'm Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
This is Bryan, and we've been dating for 9 years. I'd like to say we're divine complements. I think we bring out a lot of love and triggers and expansion in each other, but like, we know what we signed up for. I'm pretty free flowing as a person. Like, I wake up and I do yoga all the time. I love to be in my body. I love to get other people to be in their body and feel good in your body.
I'm Bryan. Hello. Thank you for having us, Tara. I'm thinking maybe some of your listeners or audience would probably have seen me before, being that we've had the pleasure of connecting and doing a few podcast episodes.
Yes, that's right.
On my end. So
yes,
it's a pleasure to be here on your Facebook feed now and sharing alongside my beautiful partner. We've been dating for almost 10 years now. Next year will be the big 10-year anniversary. And you can put whatever label that you want to put on it, but maybe just diving a little bit deeper into what I think what Amanda was alluding to with regards to being divine complements. On one plane of being and thought, this is Bryan and Amanda speaking to you, two human beings who fell in love in this incarnation and are on this journey together. But we've also come into the awareness, I think we both agree that there's reason for us to believe, or there's been experiences that have pointed us into the awareness and the knowing that our relationship and what we are in truth in a greater state of awareness have had experiences, are connected in ways that go beyond this physical incarnation. So another term that comes to mind is twin flame. That's one that I've come to use as well, that does feel in resonance. So she's my partner in this lifetime, but she's also so much more.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's beautiful. Yeah, I feel, Bryan, that's a whole nother show, isn't it? The twin flame thing, because
it depends how deep you want to go.
We can talk about that now too.
Tangible.
But definitely, I think practical is being called. Making it practical is always important. So I
Yeah,
mean, again, we can play this game at so many different levels. But
absolutely. And
I
I'm
think
happy to play it at all the levels at once, but let's just see
there
what
you go.
comes up.
For
Yeah,
sure.
so I'm interested in you know, kind of the evolution, if you will, of, because 10 years is a long time, right? To choose to spend time with someone, to choose to spend, you know, your life with someone. So whatever comes up for you in terms of the evolution of your relationship together, and maybe just in general, as general or as you want to go, of what's been kind of the main theme for you, or does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. I'm gonna
wherever you want to go with
jump in
that.
here.
Yeah.
For sure. So when you say the evolution of a relationship, I can
Mm,
immediately the thing that that comes up for me, what that means to me is learning to love each other more, um, being better for each other, and again, that just means being more loving of each other. I'll just speak personally because the way that I approach this relationship is you're not doing anything wrong. You can't do anything wrong. And my judgment of if in any moment I'm perceiving or believing that she's doing something that she shouldn't be doing, or I want her to be doing something differently than what she is doing, immediately, as quickly as I can, I try to come back to the knowing that that's not on me to judge. She's not doing anything wrong, and there's nothing that I want from her. Now that's not to say that I never get pulled by a thought of, oh, I want her to do this differently, but in my truth, there's nothing that I want from her, and the truest thing that I want is for her to be able to feel free in expressing whatever feels most authentic and true to her, and giving her the space to do that. And I know the best way to do that is to, again, not press upon her my personal or egoic desires. It's just about experiencing, witnessing, accepting her as she is. um
You do a pretty good job at
I appreciate that.
that.
So in terms of evolving in the relationship, or our relationship evolving, it's been entirely, again, for me as an individual, being better at loving her. And I always say that love is acceptance. So just being better at loving her for who she is, accepting her for who she is. And I've certainly have grown and become a lot better in that sense. I know that for certain, because I feel less need or desire for her to be any different than what she's just naturally expresses.
mm.
Aw.
That's
We're probably gonna hear a lot of that.
you
We're
got
gonna
a
hear
lot
a
of
lot of that.
ah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's
I'm very
beautiful. Like,
expressive.
I love it. That's perfect.
That
And
is beautiful.
yeah, let's just bask in that for a moment because it is so beautiful. And I think, Ryan, you like literally just hit it out of the park with that first one, because there's so much there and so much to unpack. And literally, this is the foundation of a healthy, conscious, intentional relationship. And it's something that almost nobody in relationship really does, or maybe even is aware that is a possibility to do, right? More like, you know, folks who are following kind of conventional. So I want to get more into that and unpack that for sure. But I want to ask too, just for listeners, like you said, it's grown for you, right? So obviously it wasn't always that way. And in the beginning, when you guys first met, did you have an awareness around that? Or is this something that really just came out through being together?
I think it came out through being together, really being honest with each other, experiencing the lows and then the highs together. What's huge was, yeah, we learned to not judge each other
Mm-hmm.
and accept each other as we are, and just from their love for self and love for your partner blossoms, right? When you love yourself more and you realize you shouldn't judge yourself, you shouldn't judge your partner either, because you love yourself and you love your partner very much.
I think a really great point that she's bringing up here is that it does really truly begin with love for self. We can only love another as deeply as we feel a sense of love for self. And I mean, we can even just, you know, to bring it to the higher awareness that all is self, right? So it's directly intertwined, but on a more, let's say, tangible level, like if I'm not loving myself, she's gonna feel that, and she's gonna feel that as not just on the surface. I'm not going to be loving her as strongly, as powerfully, if I'm not, again, first rooted in a sense of self-love. So I definitely think over time, I mean, like you said, 10 years has been quite some time. And being that we're fairly young, 10 years ago we're
kids.
Yeah, we're kids. We were just coming out of high school. And you know, probably 10 years from now we'll look back and say the same sort of thing.
We were just kids, yeah.
But again, I can only really speak to the individual.
Yeah.
And I was immature. I was very much to a far greater degree being swayed by selfish desires in that point of my life and my journey and growth. So certainly with time and in this relationship, we've both grown as individuals within ourselves on our own journeys of just loving ourselves more. But of course, again, the relationship has supported that too, in great ways as well.
And I find it's actually helped so much, because in the beginning, when, well, here's an example. Like, I didn't love myself 10 years ago. I wasn't in love with myself, and it was obvious. And he would share stuff about me that he loves, and that's like personal, and it made me feel good that someone else can love me this much. And then he would share with me, well, why can't you love yourself like this? And then somewhere along the lines, it kind of just triggered a change in me. It's like, well, yeah, I want to love myself too. I want to love myself harder so that I can love you and I can love others just as much as I love myself. And I think learning about the mirrorverse, everyone else being your mirror, really, really helped with that. And that grew in our relationship too. So like, if I see in my mind that he's not having a good day and he's beating himself up about something, I first ask myself, is that what I'm doing? And I'm projecting it. And then it really helps when I just share with him what's going on, and I tell him, I don't really need you to say anything. I'm going to unload some stuff on you. Is that okay? Can you give me like a safe space right now? And more often than not, that's what he provides, right? He's not judging me. He's going to hear me out. He's going to be there, and he's not going to suggest anything because I asked him not to. Just being very, very honest with each other and our feelings early on. Yeah, you look like you wanted to say "aw."
I want to say "aw."
Let me just throw out there, I think this is gonna be really good for us. I mean, like just having this sort of conversation. I'm definitely, my heart's feeling full. So
oh, mine is too, you guys. I'm gonna start crying over here.
Heart chakra's opening.
It is for everybody right now, right?
Open, heart opening. That's it.
Yeah. Well, just the way you guys look at each other, you know, after you share something, it's just like, it's so sweet. So, yeah. So there's so many little nuggets and pieces in there. And two things I pulled out that I want to go deeper into is the mirror work, right? That's like so huge. And also communication. So let's start with the mirroring, because in you just said that the mirror verse, Amanda and Bryan, in the beginning, you talked about how when you no longer, you're much better now at not being like, oh, you should be doing this, right? Because it's always, like Amanda said, I'm asking myself, am I doing that to myself? Or what is this? A question I ask is, you're creating the other person doing the thing, right? Like you're handing them a script and saying, do and say this to trigger the crap out of me. And right. And so then it's like, oh, cool. So it's always that inner question. So when that happens for you guys, when you get that trigger, that little charge, emotional, whatever it is, what's the step for you? What are the questions you're asking yourself? What is that process like?
Go ahead.
I often ask if I'm projecting. And then I actually take some time to myself in meditation or journaling. And journaling in the sense that I'll just type out everything that I'm feeling, even if it sounds bad, even if it sounds really good, I type it all out. And then when my mind feels empty, I just feel into my body and I ask myself, did I just project that onto him? Is it because I'm feeling this way? And sometimes it's not exactly the way I think he's feeling, but I would figure, oh, there is some like turmoil within myself. So those are some like steps that I would do before, sometimes even after, if I've already projected something on him and then we fight and then we come back and we're like in balance and equilibrium again, I would do it after, and I'd realize that I did fuck up. And then I'd have to come to him and tell him that I fucked up.
I don't know if this is a rated R.
I think. Oh no, I think I'm okay with it. I think it's totally fine.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a proclivity for swearing as well. So go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay?
I'm okay. No, I just want to make sure it's cool with you, Tara.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Let,
cool.
Let yourself be expressed.
Let it fly.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, I just fucked up again.
Just starts swearing. For you, was there anything else you wanted to share? Well, on that.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. What?
Nothing. In my knowing, okay, one of the things that I think is so key to just arrive to, if you're not here yet, is if you're feeling a particular way, this is not just within the relationship, but this is just life. If you're feeling a particular way, it's nobody else's fault. Okay, we have to know that. We have to know that if we're not feeling good, if we're angry, we're sad, we're upset, don't attribute that to anything outside of yourself. Don't attribute that to another person. That's step one in this game of growing awareness. So I'm never like in this day, I will never say that I'm mad because of this person, right? Now again, there might be on some level you're thinking that that's the case, but in my current state of awareness, when I'm upset, you'll never hear me say that you're making me angry or it's your fault. That I'll never say something to her that suggests that she's the reason I'm feeling this way. And we both are on that level where we're in agreement that if I'm angry, I'm upset, that's not her fault, and vice versa, right? Now, with that being said, so if something's triggered within me, if there's something that, if I'm looking at her and I'm believing that she's doing something wrong or that I don't like the way that she's being in any regard, immediately my attention goes to, okay, if I don't like this, if there's something in me that is resisting this and isn't liking what she's expressing, what's that say about me? Why is this coming up in me? Why am I uncomfortable with this? Why am I having a hard time accepting this? And that's just a practice of awareness, of coming back into oneself and watching for, well, first it's observing the sensation. I think that's a key part in the practice, right? Where you're observing your energy and you're just like, okay, I'm feeling this way. I'm going to observe that. But then again, just like, why am I upset by this? What about this don't I like? Always bringing it back to that question of what's present within me is causing me to feel this way, I think is absolutely key. The other thing I'm just gonna throw in there, maybe this is the masculine energy talking, but if she's not feeling good, well, I say yes. It's in her experience, I don't think it serves her to think of it as being my fault. In my experience now, I start to also think about, I still in that regard would think about what in me is causing this. So if I see that she's not doing well, if she's upset and she's not in a high vibe, still I'm going in and saying, what is occurring with me that's causing for her to feel the way that she does? And again, there's different planes of thought of this, and in one regard it might not, I can see how it might not serve me to blame myself for that, but it's not so much blaming myself for it as much as it is about knowing that it's in my power to create the experience that I want to be in. And if I want to create a experience of us as a couple being joyous, and I want her to be joyous, I feel it's in my power to help invoke that.
I feel it's in your power too.
And that's why I say I think it's the masculine talking in me, because well, another manifestation of this is this. I believe it's in my highest expression of self to accept her as she is, and observe and witness and be judgment free. But I wouldn't give her that advice. I wouldn't tell her that this is how she needs to be being too, because actually what I invite out in her and what I want from her is laid on me. Like, if I'm not being who you want me to be, tell me who you want me to be. Judge me all you want. Judge me if you have any reason to judge me. If there's anything that in any regard you can judge me as being less than what I can be, tell me and lay it on me and trigger the shit out of me, because that I know is only going to bring out a higher expression of me. I might not like it at the time, but
you're asking for it.
I'm asking for
it. I think that's the challenge. Too, is like, again, we're very upfront with each other. Like, we tell each other everything. We're very honest with each other. So he's told me a long time ago, if there's anything I am not doing right, I want you to tell me. And if at the time you tell me and I don't handle it well, it's because I am out of alignment. And if you're telling me what you look like when you're in alignment, I'm going to believe you. I'm not going to take that away from you. That's your power. Everyone's alignment state looks different.
Yeah, because I mean, the other thing that comes up here is if she can say something about me and that triggers something within me, then that's me not being my highest expression of self. So I want to be able to take whatever she's got, whatever it is that she can throw at me, and be able to hold steady in who and what I am. Now, again, I don't think she's going to, if I'm being the highest expression of me that I can be, then she's not gonna have anything to say. She's gonna see that in me, and so I immediately know if she has any sort of judgment that I could be doing better, it's because I could be doing better. I know that. But the other side of that is if she has an opinion about what I'm expressing, and I find that her expressing that triggers something within me, again, it's going back in, well, why am I feeling this way? And usually what would be the case is she's bringing forth truth, she's saying something true, and I see that in myself, and I might be resisting it. So it would only be hard I would say it would only be hard for me to hear if part of me is believing what she's saying.
That's a good one. That's true. And I'm divine knowing, so
Yeah.
Well, I think, yeah, this is a great subtlety to kind of look at here. And that is, it really all does come back to oneself, right? Like you were saying, if she's not feeling well and I feel like I have some responsibility in that, where it seems like it, more of what you might be saying is if you have a reaction to her feeling poorly or whatever, that's actually the reflection, right? If you don't, if you're like, yeah, babe, lay on the couch, do your thing, then there's nothing really there, right? You're just like, you do you, and that's cool. But if there's something in you that's like, oh, I want her to feel better, she should feel, that kind of thing, then it's like, so there's kind of a distinction there to make. I think that's really
That's
subtle
so
for
important.
people. But also as you're, and it is that masculine energy, right? To want to like fix, and just that almost inherent biological, like, I can make this better somehow for you. It seems, I mean,
I'm
that's
actually so glad. No, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that even just slipped my mind, right? Like that, I even missed that for a second, where like, if I'm believing that she's not happy and I feel like something needs to be changed about that, and I want to make her feel better, then again, that's still just me being resistant to what is. And that's I think slipping away from a higher expression of self and myself, which is just complete acceptance for who and what she is in this now moment.
Yeah, and it's tricky, right? The mind is really tricky when it comes to to these things. So yeah, that's awesome. And you guys, like, your communication, even just witnessing your communication right now, is really like stellar. It seems like you're just like, oh, but
we're stellar.
Yes.
So
I'll take
yeah. So what has that journey been like? Because I imagine in the beginning, when you guys started dating out of high school, you probably didn't have that component.
No.
So what is like, yeah, tell me about your communication and like what triggered that to evolve. And
I think it was when we noticed we were triggering each other, so we started to use words around, like, the words that aren't offensive, the words that aren't strong in meaning, like hate. We never use hate because that's a really strong word, and that was actually we haven't used that for a long time. We just don't believe in like such a strong word towards each other, not even as a joke. Like, we had friends who would joke about like, oh my god, I hate you, when they're like fighting, and jokingly, and like we never liked it. So I think finding ways to communicate to each other early on, especially when we thought we were like being offensive to each other by accident, not on purpose, or it sounded mean sometimes. Like, I noticed early on, I said things that sounded mean, and he would point it out in me, and then I used to get angry. I'd be like, what do you mean? I shouldn't change the way I talk, that's not fair, blah blah blah. But it actually made me like go within and realize that some of the words I'm saying is aggressive. And that's when I decided to change my own communication, talking to him and to other people around me. Because words are like casting spells, right? You don't want to say such negative things to someone you love. Low vibrational words to anyone or even in your environment, personally, is how I feel. So I always like the words like divine and like goddess and high vibing and energy. Like, I like all those words.
Feels good.
It feels good to say, it feels good to be.
Yeah, I think on some level it's the communication comes naturally when we're in a place of love. Being in a frequency of love, and what I mean by that is simply feeling loved and being loved, right? That's what that is to me, right? Allowing yourself to feel loved, know that you are loved by each other, and then actively being the highest expression of love that you can be. When I reside in that, I find that communication comes naturally. You don't really need to think about how you're communicating. I don't need to tippy toe around anything. I don't need to overthink how I say something to her, because it's just naturally going to come out from that place of love. Now, the other thing that I think is really important to mention here, as it pertains to our the way that we've been growing and how effectively we communicate. For me, it's been very much a journey of just becoming a better listener, active listener. I will admit, I don't feel like I am the greatest listener. You see that?
I do see that.
You know, it's true. I'm not always the.
Looks like you got some work to do, Bryan.
I do. I could totally admit that. I honestly could totally admit that. And, you know, we both agree on that. That's another thing that maybe we'll say, but like, maybe this is made easy for us, but like we agree on like pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Like in our truth, it's we just agree on everything. Like we share the same
values. We love the same things. We appreciate the same things. We see in each other the same things.
So when we're speaking from truth, like there's no disagreement. The only time there's disagreements if we like
if he doesn't listen.
If I'm not listening. You know, it's as it's honestly, there's a lot of truth of that. Honestly, me listening, witnessing, inviting in her, which naturally invites out in her more and more expression. She becomes more expressive when I'm listening, and that's why we have from this in this context, like where we're in completely different experiences as the masculine and the feminine. For me, it's more about like, okay, how actively can I be present with her and listen and observe her and just witness her divine energy. And for her, it's about being expressive of that energy, right? And letting that out and letting that be seen and heard. And they go hand in hand. The better, again, I can only talk to from my perspective and what I'm doing, but I just naturally, it's just the better I am at listening and witnessing, the more it invites out in her that expression of her divinity. And I always bring it back to me, like what she's expressing is in direct relation to how well I'm witnessing.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, it really does just it's so clear, the like masculine feminine, the divine masculine feminine there, right? Because the masculine is like the container holder, if you will, the one that's like in charge of the train and where it's going, you know. And yet the feminine needs to feel that is an open container, right? That it's not just like we're doing this and we're going here. It's like I've got you, but I want to hear and know what it is that you're feeling, thinking, all of those things, so that I can guide us, you know, in the way that serves both of us, right? I mean, it's of course the masculine and feminine, we can have both, and it doesn't have to be like male female thing. But, and I don't, you know, we don't need to get too deep into it, but I definitely think there is something to these like roles, if you will, or that energy and the yin and the yang of that, and how when these things are not in balance in a couple, you know, it's not, something isn't working, right? You can feel that. So it's a beautiful way to just have an example of just listening is like such a sort of masculine energy trait.
Because she's already a naturally like a good listener.
I'm a great listener.
Yeah. But when I'm in my highest, it's like I don't even have anything to tell her, really. I can there's nothing I need to tell her.
Because I know everything.
She's that potent.
Yep.
I also wanted to say that greatly serves me to observe her. Like I feel better when I'm doing a good job of seeing her and accepting her. So I notice in myself when I'm pushing upon the experience or the relationship, um, when I'm coming from that place, it it doesn't feel as good. I'm happier being in this state of ease and just enjoyment of seeing her beauty.
Aw.
Oh,
But I have to be aware of it. Again,
aware.
that's
Yeah.
why I really need to drive home. It's not
Balance.
like
Yeah.
it's an awareness thing. It's not something that just always I in and I'm getting better and better at. That's the other thing. There's no like limit to this. You can
Yeah.
allow, as
Mm.
in my observing of this reality and all that it brings, all that she brings, it's I can allow for more of her energy to be received.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that point that there's no like limit. Like, okay, now we have like the best relationship we could ever possibly have. Like there's no ceiling, it just like keeps expanding. And as long as we keep doing that with each other and we're willing and we're like in it, then the sky's the limit, right? For any relationship. Versus if we have this mindset of like, oh, okay, this is it, or we have a great relationship and it's so easy to get complacent, right, when you've been with someone for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, yeah, I love that there's just like, woo, how can we expand this, how can we up level this?
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that I wanted to highlight, because I know this is something that I hear a lot, and I've also experienced this in my own relationships, is like being totally accepting of someone exactly as they are and not wanting to change it. And when you do, you're looking at that as a mirror, it's a reflection. And at the same time having boundaries of like also saying, it's like, this is my truth. It's like, if we're a complete mirror and we're in like, 6th, 7th, 8th density, then we don't even need to be engaging or interaction with each other, right? But we are in these human vessels right now. So, and you're choosing to be in relationship to one another. So then by default, there will be things that you feel, oh, I need this, or this is important to me. Or so it's like that balance between total surrender and flow and letting someone be who and what they are, and also having a boundary for yourself of what feels right and good. So can you guys speak to that a little bit? Or maybe there's an example or something that, however you feel about that topic.
See, if I have boundaries or limitations, I'm very straightforward with it. I share it. I express it. Like I would never want you to say hate to me because I'm just really against it. And if you understand, you will not use those words around me, for instance. And if we're in a good place, he'll listen and he'll see like truth in it. Like you just have to explain your truth and why you feel that way with your limitations. And hopefully they'll accept you, but even if they don't, it's still who you are. And as a whole, we still love each other, so we'll still be in that place of acceptance. I'm trying to think of something specific, but I don't got anything right now.
See, when I think boundaries, like when I hear that, like define boundaries, um, I encourage her to be clear or state if there's anything in particular that she would define as a boundary, or because what that suggests to me is a desire, right? She wants something in particular, and going back to like what we talked about, I invite her to state that, because it's in my role to give her that, like, and I love giving, right? When I'm coming from a place of like, tell me what you want so I can give it to you, because I love to give.
Aww.
And again, I just want to be clear, that this what I'm speaking to is me in my highest expression. I'm not trying to make it out to mean that like I'm this is me at my best, right? Me at my best is tell me what you want, because I want nothing more than to give you what you want, because what makes me feel most alive is having something to give and giving it. So that becomes exciting for me, right? It's like, just tell me more. Like, what else can I give to you?
Just like making her list right now.
Yeah, right.
It's happening.
It's one of the most exciting things for me to do when we like dream of our future, and we talk about the dreams that we have for each other, and I'm hearing her and I'm feeling from her what she wants, and I'm in my power, feeling confident that I can give her that. That's the experience I come alive in. Now, I don't have boundaries, and I don't think I want to set boundaries, because that, again, is me pressing upon the situation, or setting some sort of guidelines or desires that pertain to who and what she's doing. And again, it doesn't feel right it doesn't feel of my highest nature to define those or to be attached to those. So you be what you want, girl. I see you.
I mean, your boundary was no cheating. That's something. Does that count? That counts as a boundary.
Yeah, that's I would say that's and they can be super little tiny practical things too. Like I have a boundary of like, I like to have a certain amount of time alone. So I'll be like, okay, now it's my alone time. And that's, I need an hour or 2 hours or something. I mean, things like this, like just really, it's like taking care of yourself in the midst of, being in relationship with someone, because oftentimes we can, if we're kind of like, oh yeah, whatever, whatever I'm just totally accepting you how you are. And if you want to just sit here all day and like, be next to me while I'm trying to work, you know what I mean? I'm talking about things like that, kind of like more.
We have very subtle, small, they're not hard boundaries, but like if he asks for the office space that we share, because he needs to do something alone or wants to be alone for a little bit, I respect it. Earlier on I didn't. Earlier on I was like, why can't I be around? Why can't I be here? How come I can't stay here? What are you doing? But this was where I had to come within again and see, why am I questioning him so much? He's a good man. Like, I shouldn't be judging him. I'm judging myself, really. But no, he does have some things he asked me for his space. I asked him for space too, and we're completely okay with that because, well, we trust each other and we love each other, and I appreciate my alone time. So I figured, why wouldn't he appreciate his alone time, right? It's nothing negative. It's not a questionable act, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I see something here now and then. Sometimes I will feel called to express something that let's say something that is desired, and it might again be in relation to something that she can do, or maybe something that I'm asking her not to do. Okay. Now, again, these don't come up too often, I won't say, but let's say I felt called to express something of the sort. I think, again, it's important for me to be coming from a place of, it feels right for me to express this, but then once you hear it, you take it as you will, and you align with that, or you adjust that however it is that feels most right to you, and then I should be able to accept whatever her decision is. So there is definitely times, and this I think kind of points to what you were saying earlier, which is the providing direction as the masculine energy, but still being that container, allowing for a free expression. So it comes like saying to her, like, this is the direction I want us to go, and this is where I think we should go. Now it's up to you to decide if how you want to approach that, if you want to go in that direction or not, and know that I'm going to love and accept you regardless of what decision you make. But it's in my role, it feels of my role to provide that direction or suggest that direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that I'll just kind of throw in there is when we're in our greatest place, when we're connected, I find that she wants to follow that lead. She trusts me. She trusts the direction that I'm providing. But if I'm not being the best me, you can sense in her this less trust in the direction that I provide.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in those circumstances where what she might want to do may differ from the direction that I'm suggesting. So I think it really still comes down to like, how well am I doing as the one leading the direction of us going into higher and higher expressions of love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you trust yourself.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Resonates.
Yeah. I was just thinking that every so often we have a conversation about us as well, right? We talk about what we're bringing to the table as a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you bringing to me and what am I bringing to you? What am I giving to you and what are you receiving, and all that stuff. Every so often we have that conversation. We've had it recently. And again, it goes back to the masculine and feminine energy too, because I'm, again, mostly feminine, he's mostly masculine. So I do expect, because we talk about it and he knows, that he provides a form of like guidance. And I'm here just being all flowy and you can witness me and watch me and whatever. I mean, I have the good role, obviously. But if he's not being that for me or for us, if he's not providing the appropriate guidance that we've talked about, that we have trust in, I bring that up because it really messes with me. Because then before we even talk about it, I kind of just assert a more masculine role, which I don't like doing because it doesn't feel in full alignment with me. It doesn't feel completely right to me. But I don't feel good about it. But I'll still pick it up and I'll still do it because it's like, okay, it's lacking in him, so I gotta pick up the pace for us. And then that's when we come back together again, and he'll notice that I'm a little more masculine lately. And then we'll be able to talk about that and how I struggle to be masculine, but why is he not? And we're still going to hold a very safe, loving space for each other where we're not judging each other. But it's just, again, it's coming back talking about your relationship and what you're doing for each other and choosing each other every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so one thing I feel like will maybe perhaps better serve those that tune in is let's just be mindful of the use of the words masculine and feminine. I want to make sure that, again, we're making it practical. So if there's any, Tara, you can take the lead here if you feel like there's something that needs to be more elaborated on in order for it to feel more practical. Like, I know three of us in this conversation, when we use that term masculine and feminine energy, we're probably all in agreement and alignment with regards how we think of those energies. But again, I just want to ensure that we're delivering this in a way that is usable.
Yeah.
Now, to kind of elaborate on what she was just saying there too, that I think will make it a little bit more practical is what's coming through is a sense of security almost, right? I believe it's well, we've agreed that it's in my role to provide this sense of safety and security in our relationship. And
so what does that mean to you? Safety and secure. What does that look like in your actual relationship?
Oh, we can adjust this in many different layers, but let's see. That we would be that our needs will be accounted for.
So like your physical needs, like money, food.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important that we kind of adjust that, but on a from a hard perspective, and again, we both agree on this, is, you know, that a sense of security goes beyond, you know, having enough money. That's something that's cultivated internally and has very little to do with what's happening on the surface.
Right.
But I guess what I'll say is, if I don't reside in that, well, then she's probably going to have a hard time residing in that as well, right? So I have to first. So perhaps we should speak with this awareness that a sense of security and safety is something that is found internally. It's something that's actualized from within. I'm not talking about making enough money. I'm not talking about anything in the physical. Even it's residing in that, being grounded. I must hold that frequency in order for that frequency, and again, this is in my experience, I must hold that frequency in order for that to be felt in the relationship. In order for her to reside in that as well, I must be that foundation. And I do think that if I'm not residing in that, she's going to likely end up feeling like she's going to need to do things to make that happen for herself, right? So by not providing that foundation, it's almost like I'm causing for her to have to wrestle with finding that. I'm not even sure how we got here, to be honest, but where did this even start?
That is where we got to. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, geez, that's crazy. I took a second. I'm just like, I don't even remember what you had asked.
We're masculine, feminine, holding container, and then we just got to like what you're.
Okay, so let me just leave it off with saying, right? I believe it's my responsibility to provide that foundation by first feeling that within myself and knowing that the frequency that I reside in is going to be felt by her, and taking responsibility for that, because not only do I want to feel good within myself, but because I want her to feel as good as she deserves to feel.
Safe. I just want to feel safe.
What is that? What does that mean to you? What is that? What is?
I'm not scared. I'm not looking behind my back. I feel comfortable in my environment because he's providing this protection, this safety, and he's here. That's what I appreciate. That's what I ask for. Like, I don't like walking in dark alleyways alone. Like, I'd like you there. You provide safety. That's like tangible. That's tangible. Which is going away from the internal stuff.
Yeah, it's all. I mean, it's all important part of it, for sure. And that's the foundation. Because if you're not into, like Bryan is saying, if you're not, don't feel that within yourself, then it's hard to create an external reflection of that, right? So this kind of brings us to, well, does it? I don't know, but this is a question I have.
You're bringing us there. It's okay.
I'm bringing us there, which is this difference between expectation and agreement in relationship, which we can see which one would be more and less sort of serving to all. But do you guys have experience with that? Because I know in my own, I strive for agreements. That caveat can be renegotiated at any time, rather than an expectation, which is something that is fixed, that I think I need because it's filling something in me type situation. So do you guys see that in your own relationship at all, or?
Yeah, either? I think we, if anything, 100% agree with what you just said, because agreement is something we both lay out the facts on and we talk about it and we both agree to it. But expectations, it's something you will probably eventually like resent your partner for, and then you're not going to feel good towards them because you expected it, you never talked about it, you're judging even because they're not there. So it has come up in our relationship for sure. Like early on,
Yeah.
I felt like I expected things from him. I can't even tell you what now, but early on, I'm sure I did. It feels like something I did. It feels like something old Amanda did.
Yeah.
But the way, like you said, the way we talk to each other now, I feel like it's pretty evident that
Yeah.
we agree on a lot of things, and we make agreements with each other, and we're very honest and upfront about the way we're feeling, what we would like to see, how we would like to go about it, and how politely we communicate to each other. Unless we're doing like a shit test.
What's that?
Have you heard of the shit test? Do you know what a shit
No,
test is?
tell me what the shit test is. Are we pooping in a bag? What's happening?
And shit test 101. Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, shit test is when we feel like our relationship is going so well, and like no turmoil has happened, we haven't argued or disagreed on anything, and we've just been so good. I would just come to him and be like, we've been so good for a while. Should I stir something up?
Oh my gosh. That's funny. I actually have had a request from my partner, my boyfriend. He's like, I'm used to so much drama in relationships, and you're not like, I'm pretty like even Steven, right? And he's like, I need a little crazy. I'm like, okay, I can.
I'll give you crazy.
I'll give you some crazy, and so then I'll make some
he
stuff up.
opened up a can of worms.
I know. I was like,
a shit test.
Really? You want shit test? I love it. It's the shit test. So yes, that's awesome.
Except usually this is happening on unconscious level. I think where the woman's just like, I mean, we say it as a joke, but I think there's a lot of actually power and truth here where it's on her. It's kind of her role to trigger me. Like, I see that. Like, I think she's here to trigger me to see if there's anything that's triggerable.
Because I feel like if I can trigger you, then you have space to grow. Yeah. Right. So it's a good thing, really.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, triggers are always a celebration. I mean, in the moment, it may not feel like that, but
it will be.
Yes. And Bryan, I'm giving you my boyfriend's number so you can call him and tell him this because oh my gosh, it's constant.
That's not to say that she's doing it intentionally.
Sometimes I am.
Right. Yeah.
There's a knowing, guys. Sometimes I am. Sometimes it's like, you know what? He's been happy for too long. Let's do something about it.
Growth here, people. Let's go.
Yeah. True, this really is
conscious relationship. I mean, I feel like there's some people who
triggering your partner. Awakened relationships 101.
Guys,
I'm learning something new here too.
But we also heard like our friends were saying how they caught themselves doing it like subconsciously. They're not doing it on purpose. They're like, you know what? I noticed that my boyfriend was really happy for a while and I'm not. So I kind of want him to feel what I'm feeling, and then something would happen.
All right. So in retrospect, one can look back and see, okay, that's probably what was happening on a deeper level. But
yeah, subconsciously for sure.
Subconsciously, I think, yeah. And that I think is kind of what you were. It ties back in what you're saying, like we're giving other people the script for how to play it out in our realities.
What our higher self is asking for, like, ooh, I really want to grow in this way, but on my own, right? I mean, on our own, we can grow and expand, and absolutely, but it's with a constant mirror. It's like, there's just nothing like that. So it's, what a blessing, what a blessing to have that catalyst. And let's see, one more thing I wanted to, this idea of like attachment, right? That is like the relationship kind of norm. If you look at like 3D society, it's like, even in people's wedding vows, if they choose to do that, it's very like, the language is all, it's so like, I need you, I'm attached, like forever and ever and ever, and just this idea of attaching to another person, not saying it's good or bad, again, just more or less serving. So has that shifted for you guys? Have you seen yourselves let go more? I imagine that you have. And what has that been like to start out in a relationship that was probably pretty conventional and feel really attached and like to this more like expansive place?
I was super attached, like 100%. I can go back and say I was attached. I didn't want this to end. I didn't want to lose anything. I didn't want to change. I didn't want him to change. Had all this expectation, etc., etc. But throughout the years, with our awakening and such, I realized that once I am whole, there is no attachment to anyone else, because whatever I'm seeking outside, I'm seeking inside, which I can give to myself. I can provide for myself. So that gradually changed. It got from attached to knowing that I shouldn't be attached and trying to let it go and being scared as shit because ego. And then I'm like, I feel like now I'm finally at a place where it's like, I'm not attached to you. I'm not. I love you, but I'm not attached to you. I still want you to be fully who you are in your expression. I want you to grow. I want you to develop. I want you to take shit tests. And I just want you to be full in yourself. And I know that we're not attached to each other. And because we both know that and we're in synchronicity there, there's this huge space for us to be like expand and grow and develop alongside each other. And that's what it is. We're being more of who we are alongside each other, accepting each other, and loving this about ourselves and one another.
So yeah, definitely I'm bringing back to attachment, but one thing I find very interesting that I kind of I'm seeing more and more in her is
What? Tell me.
is she so whilst I say like, you know, tell me what you want, tell me how I can be better, so I can be them, and she will. It's as though that she's simultaneously doing two things that might seem like they're completely different. One, I do know that she accepts me and loves me as I am, and you know, regardless of what I'm being, I know that that's unconditional love. But at the same time, she's still playing this role of showing me, suggesting to me, triggering me, so that I can be better. And I think she's in this really interesting and powerful state of awareness.
Awesome.
where she's able to do that, where she's able to say like, I accept him. I'm not attached to him being a particular way, but I'm still gonna play the role of helping him become better, because that's a loving thing for her to do. That's her and her full expression of love. And again, I know those two things might sound at odds, right? Acceptance and then telling me how I could be better, but it's this, again, this simultaneous
this both. We're expanding our minds to try to understand that it can be both.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that's what love, I mean, as much as human love is possible, which I don't know that it is, I think we are this unconditional divine love is what love is, and we can tap into it. And human love is attachment, essentially, right? As we see it played out in most people in their roles. What was I just saying? There was something, I had a point, you guys. It evaded me. Yeah. It evaded me. What were you just talking about, Bryan? Like specifically, what was your last?
Well, her ability to, again, be accepting and not
attached. Yes. What love is. The expressions of love. How we have this notion or idea or this concept, and we see it in Hollywood. We see it in all the romantic comedy, that love is this one thing, is this one way, right? Or love means being nice and being fully accepting and like, yeah, honey, oh, that's love. Where love is just as much being like, dude, challenging you to be your best. Like that is also equally an expression of love. Some could call it tough love, but it's actually that balance too of love and wisdom, right? Because if we just have love, then we're running all over the world trying to save everybody and our partner and ourselves and everything. Whereas with its balance with wisdom, then it's like we go and we see the higher perspective. And then the more we are source and ourselves, our true selves, then this infinite intelligence can come through us as a reflection to our partner. Like there may not even really be a trigger, but this, this is, we're getting a little off topic here, but it's like that love comes through and it's just like, boom, this is for you. That is like, to me, ultimate, what we can redefine love. It's not just like, ooey gooey smushy, I love you, that's just one kind.
I totally think that integration of bringing forth of both love and wisdom, I think is so key. I think again, we gotta bring it into this reality and this existence of becoming better human beings for each other and for others as well, right? Like I've learned and grown so much being in this relationship and from her, that doesn't just make me a better partner for her, but a better human being in all regards.
That's beautiful, Bryan.
Aw.
Oh, he said it.
He said it.
He said it. We got him to say it. I think you hit it on the head with that one too. It's like, isn't that the point of relationship, is to become better for all? It's serving. If it's serving all, then to me, it's very serving of a relationship. If it's just serving you, not that that's a bad thing, but it's not its highest potential of a relationship, right? And so that's, for me, always a great question to ask: is this serving the highest good to be with this person? And as soon as it isn't for one or the other, then it's like being able to be okay with that and then let that go. And that comes to this whole attachment thing again, where we want to hold on to something just because it's been that way for however long. And we think, and we see all the time people in relationships who just stay in their relationship totally miserable, so just, I have some friends who like get remarried every year. They go through okay, we're committed for the next year, and then the next year comes up and it's like, okay, do we want to do this again for another year? Yes or no?
That's pretty beautiful. I think that points to a really important point that we speak about too, is yes, we've agreed to forgive forever in this lifetime. We've had that conversation that we're gonna grow old together, and we know that that's gonna be the case, right? But on another level, I think it's important for us to remember that we are still choosing to be with each other each and every day, right? That's a choice that we're making over and over again. Like, I'm choosing that right now. And I think you gotta bring both of them into awareness and into the experience, right? It feels good. It feels nice to let go of any concern or fear that, well, I mean, there shouldn't be any fear even about the relationship ending, but we can say, and we can look at each other that, oh, we've made that commitment to one another, and there's no reason to believe that there's a reality, or there's a chance that we're gonna end. But at the same time, there is that chance, right? That can happen. We can choose that, right? And choosing us is the other option. So we're both making that choice, and we're making that choice because we want to make that choice, and we have to remember that it's in our power to make that choice. We're the ones choosing that, and she's in her power to choosing that as well. So
I think it's important to have both, right? The choosing each other every day, but also knowing that you're also committed to each other for a long time. Because what happens is there's the security, there's the love, and there's also the excitement still of choosing each other. There's still the fun in choosing each other. I find that it keeps, like,
you don't take it for granted.
Keeps the fire alive.
Yeah, I think that's just a great point to kind of wrap up on, is that to remind ourselves that it is a choice every day. We're not just like with this person and that's it. We've chosen you know, like even if it's marriage or whatever, that's it. I've made my choice, you know. And no, we actually get to choose every day. And at any point, this person could walk out the door. And, you know, I don't, because that keeps, like you said, keeps the fire alive. It's like, ooh, I'm going to dress up today for my love, you know, I'm going to put my heels on or whatever, versus like, oh, yeah.
It's true.
And different things work for different people, different agreements and commitments. And, you know, the point is there's no one way to do relationship, to have relationship.
That's
I think.
key. That's important to know.
Yeah.
So before we wrap things
yeah
up,
anything else you guys want to share?
That word fire definitely invokes in me something I wish to express. And I'll put it out there for all the masculine energies out there. I can speak to the masculine because that's the role that I play. And I think it's on us to bring that fire. It's something that we have to consciously do, actively do, bring that passion, bring that excitement into the relationship, bring that joy, lead with the heart, lead with love, and keep that alive. And the degree by which that's being experienced in our relationship is 100% entirely in my control and my responsibility. It's on me to bring fire to this relationship and to keep that burning alive. And I know when I'm bringing that, we're at our best.
Okay.
And she'll come
She's
along
in
for
agreement.
the ride.
She's
She's
in
in
agreement.
She's down. She's
I'm
down.
I'm interested.
Yeah.
I'm interested. Hey, what's your
Sign
name?
me up.
Sign me up.
Another thing, I'll just leave things off on here is I've promised her a fairy tale.
No.
I love fairy tales.
And you know, I sometimes we look at the movies and we say life's not a fairy tale. I think, you know, that kind of comes up sometimes where people say, oh, it's not like the movies, it's not a fairy tale. I don't believe that. I think it can be better than a fairy tale. And that's what I want to give her.
Oh, Bryan. Oh, you guys are amazing. You guys are great. That's a great end. I think we might drop on that. Anything else, Amanda, you want to end with?
Oh, come on.
How
You got
lucky
something.
am
You got
I?
something. You got something. Let's see you. I want to see you. Shine.
I mean, you have been talking the whole time, so
Yeah,
it's like I'm like the background commentary.
I wasn't doing good enough job listening.
We're gonna talk about this later, Bryan.
I'll let you guys, you go explore off camera somewhere. Guys, we'll get an update.
Start arguing before the stream's done.
This is perfect.
That'd be hilarious.
Before we go, I think there's some light and there's something waiting to come out here. I can feel it. Let's see.
Do I got it? Do I got something?
Be you. Just be you. Let us see you.
I think it's important to know that everyone loves differently. And not everyone will see how you want to be loved, but I think what I picked up on in our relationship was there is a way to love you that in a way that you would want to be loved. And I'm capable of providing that.
She does this so well. And this is not just me, but one thing that I've learned from her is people receive love in the forms. People do a good job receiving love in the forms that they like to express it.
Yeah.
So if you take notice of how other people show their love, and again, this is something I really learned from her, that everyone loves differently. So if you take notice of how other people love and you reciprocate that to them,
it would mean the world to them.
Yeah.
You just notice how other people express their love and reciprocate it, mirror it to them, and it mean the world to them. And I learned that from like looking at our parents, how they chose to love me and how my siblings chose to love me and how Bryan chose to love me. And you reciprocate that back to them, and it's just like the perfect thing to them.
Yeah.
And myself, of course.
Yeah, that's like the 5 love languages. You know, he talks about we usually receive love the way that we give it. So then knowing your partner's love language is like, yes.
What's yours?
Mine? Quality time is my number 1 love language.
Yeah. They're all so good though.
Oh, they're all so good. Yeah. Do you guys
They're
know
all so
yours?
good.
I do. What's yours?
Acts of service.
And mine's words of affirmation.
Oh, yes. So good. Oh, awesome, you guys. Thank you so much. I know we could probably go on and on and on, but I gotta pee really bad. So
I was just gonna ask you, is that why we're ending?
Totally.
Tara has a tiny bladder.
Guys, this was an insight thing.
Oh yeah, we can't tell people.
That wasn't on the live.
That's totally I have no problem sharing my
it's okay, Tara.
tiny pee bladder. It's totally fine. No problem. Yes, this was so fun, you guys. I really, really, really just want to express my gratitude for your just openness and willingness and showing up in your presence and just the work that you do for yourselves and the world. And let us know. I can put in the links too on YouTube, but tell people where they can find you at.
Sure. Well, the best place to come check us out is togetherweascend.com, the website. I mean, everything, that's the central hub. Everything will be linked out from there. It's less, I think, we'll give our personal stuff, but for us, it's less about linking back to the personal brand and more about the collective initiative that I founded and she's very much involved with, and that's Together We Ascend, the Ascend Academy, where we're bringing together, we're supporting light workers, we're coming together as a community in oneness, and anyone who feels a sense of resonance with coming together to celebrate our connection and to grow into higher expressions of self, to be in greater service to the all. Those are the kinds of individuals that are part of our community and program. So that's togetherweascend.com. And then my Facebook page is facebook.com/Bryan M. Henry 10 with the Y. So okay. Bryan with the Y, M. Henry 10.
Wow, I don't even remember mine. You can find me on his profile.
Well, this is on your Facebook anyway, right?
Yeah, that'll be on my Facebook. It'll be on my
so
Facebook.
If anyone wants to connect with either of us.
Either of us. I'm mostly on Instagram, but
Facebook is What's your Instagram?
Oh my God, what is my Instagram? I'm fun-sized.
I'm fun-sized. Stick in your pocket? Yeah. Awesome. I'm fun-sized. Cool. Thanks, you guys. I really, really appreciate it. And I love you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
me. Love you too.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure. Always.
Go release your tiny bladder.
Oh,
you're good. Thank God.
Guys, we're still alive.
Thanks for having me.
I need a catheter. No.
Okay. Are we off yet?
Are we off? Are we good? Can I pee? No. Okay, I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much.
Sarah.
Bye.